Hey Canucks fans, Bo Horvat appeared on the Spittin Chiclets podcast yesterday, and Dustin Byfuglien is now a free man. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram, I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and this is my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Friday, April the 17th, my second video for today. That's because my first video this morning was an interview on Zoom, a chat with my season ticket neighbor Jens. You might know him from my intermission reflections whenever we were at a game together. So I hope you check out that interview, that chat. We had a really good time, basically sharing a bunch of tales from section 319. Bit of NHL news, big news. Dustin Byfuglien, big player, has been basically terminated. His contract has been terminated by the Winnipeg Jets. We remember that he did not report to training camp, so the Jets suspended him. He filed a grievance later in the fall, and they've now resolved that grievance, and they basically cut ties. So he had one more year left on his contract that would pay him $6 million in actual salary, but had a $7.6 million cap hit for the 2020-2021 season. So the two big things to note here: Winnipeg gets that cap space back, $7.6 million, and Dustin Byfuglien is able to sign with whomever he wants to. Now, there's a question whether he's going to play hockey again. We've heard different stories about, why he didn't play this year. Was it injury? Was it mental, emotional reasons, or whatever the reason may be? It could be a combination of all three: physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is. I'm sure we'll hear more in the next little bit. Don't want to speculate, but obviously there was something missing in the connection. There's something missing in the partnership between the Winnipeg Jets, the relationship between the Winnipeg Jets and Dustin Byfuglien. Canucks fans know Byfuglien quite well. Remember him a lot from the battles between the Canucks and the Blackhawks back in the day when he played for them. But yeah, interesting to see. Obviously a very talented defenseman, very big player, a decent skater for his size, tough, and given his age, you'd think he'd be a leader as well. Although I haven't heard a lot about his leadership, quite frankly, throughout his career. But yeah, big news, and we'll see if he ends up playing again because he is 35 years old. Can you come back from basically an entire year off? I know he had a lot of injuries, lower body, especially foot, ankle, everything down there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It'll be a very interesting story to track going forward. The one thing I want to talk about, Canucks related today, is Bo Horvat appeared on the Spittin Chiclets podcast. That's the one with Paul Bissonnette and Ryan Whitney and a couple other guys. Can't remember their names right now. Pretty fun podcast. Those guys, I think they do a good job of being fun, being irreverent at times, within reason. It was not too bad for my ears. And yeah, they interviewed Bo Horvat yesterday. They had him on for 40 minutes, and it was outstanding. It was. I invite you to check it out. Not just because Bo Horvat's my favorite player, but Horvat let his personality shine through. I know here. We love him a lot as our captain. He's a great leader, but he's, I think, a little more on the reserve side because maybe he's just a humble, hardworking Canadian kid, and he doesn't have a big ego. And all those things still came out loud and clear on the podcast, for sure. But he let his guard down a little bit. I think they probably recorded over Zoom and then took the audio because he made a couple of references to physical references to see this or whatever it may be. But a lot of good content there. The parts I love is when he talks about his teammates. He talked about how good Pettersson is and how he does things on the ice that he couldn't even dream of doing, and how he's a joy to watch, especially from the bench. They're on the ice at the same time, of course, doing the power play, but other even strength. They're on different lines, of course, as the number one and number two center. So he talked about Pettersson. He talked about Quinn Hughes and how good he's going to be, especially at walking the line, at keeping the puck in, at eluding defenders. And they talked about how actually Brandon Sutter was the one who started the Huggy Bear nickname, so that was kind of cool. Talked about Brock Besser, how he's the nicest guy and he's so chill, good values, good family man. And then Horvat had a funny line about saying that they like to chirp Besser, but then after they do that, then they feel bad because Besser's such a nice guy. I think that's how people would feel if they chirp me, because I think I'm a nice guy and I'm a good family man, good religious beliefs, as you guys know. And not that I would start crying if you guys chirp me, but and because I can dish it as well. But I was just trash talking. If I had to, I could dish it. But trash talking, not a big element of my competitive career, admittedly. So yeah, I love how you talked about everyone from Pettersson to Hughes to Besser. They swapped some good stories about Jacob Markstrom and how much he loves to sleep. And they talked about some personal stuff, of course, about him and his wife Holly expecting their child, moving back to Ontario to be closer to their families, all that kind of stuff was good. They talked a bit about Travis Green, of course, and how he's a player's coach. Got into a little bit of his battles, Bo Horvat's battles with a guy like Darnell Nurse, who was his first NHL fight, but they're teammates on the London Knights. Talked about the London Knights quite a bit, actually, because there's a lot there. You know, the good players there, Max Domi, and so on and so forth. Horvat kind of revealed that he was the 9th overall pick in the OHL draft, and then he was the 9th overall pick, of course, in 2013 when the Canucks traded the rights for that pick for Corey Schneider, the goaltender. And that, you know, when I was listening to that part, that kind of hit me. Like, to say that you're a top 10 player in a draft, that's pretty good, because obviously there's only 10 guys a year that can say that. So in the history of the league, that's still not a lot of players, and especially looking in the last decade, since 2000, the 2010 draft, obviously there's only 100 players in there, and for Horvat to be one of the, you know, top 10, or one of those 100 players, and to be top 10 in his year, that's saying something. And I'm sure there's some, you know, performance and bonus clauses and contract things to consider as well. So overall, it was and they talked about influences on his leadership. Obviously, the Sedins were big ones, and he talked about Derek Dorsett, actually, when Derek Dorsett was playing for the Canucks as well. So a really, really informative interview. Some good hockey talk, some good locker room talk, and some good personal talk and junior talk as well. So I invite you to check it out. I'll put the link in the description. Again, that's Bo Horvat on the Spittin Chiclets podcast yesterday. And the one funny thing that I'll leave you with is Paul Bissonnette especially made a couple of references. Anytime he messed up or said something, you know, the first thing he messed up was he thought it was the start of the 40th season, and Horvat corrected him and said it was the 50th season. And then I can't remember, there's another part near the end of the interview where they're talking about how Canucks fans could be vicious. And it was funny that Horvat said yes, and then he correctly not backpedaled, but he corrected himself and articulated he meant to say that the Canucks fans were passionate. So don't go around saying, oh, Bo Horvat thinks that Canucks fans are vicious, but it was kind of funny. Horvat kind of alluded to the fact that, yeah, this is a hockey mad market, and he loves playing here because it is a hockey mad market. So there you go. A lot of really, really cool nuggets of information, and the interplay that he had with the host was really, really funny. So I invite you to check it out. I'll link to the podcast down below in the description. So there you go. I love your thoughts on if you've heard the podcast, if you listened to the episode, or if simply from what I just told you for the last 3 or 4 minutes, leave a comment below about Bo Horvat and about how you think he's been as a captain and what you like about him. Talk about Dustin Byfuglien. Are you surprised that him and the Jets have decided to part ways, or did we see this coming? And do you expect Dustin Byfuglien to play again? And what do you remember from his playing days, either in Winnipeg or Chicago, or any stops in between? I think he was in Atlanta as well. I can't remember. I didn't look it up before I started talking. So let me know what you think about Byfuglien. Let me know what you think about Horvat. And then don't forget to check out my interview with my season ticket neighbor, Jens, as well. So there we go. A bunch of content for you on this Friday morning. I hope you enjoy your day. I hope you be safe and that you be healthy. And I forgot to say, subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Now, be safe, be healthy. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Have a great day. God bless, and go Canucks go.